In this review, I'm driving a 2025 Porsche 911 Carrera T, and I'm here at Porsche Santa Clarita before our Unstock event, which happens tomorrow, just filming this out of the rain in usually sunny Southern California. Now, the Carrera T is a more focused, pure sports car than the Carrera and Carrera S, and it's also the only way you can get a manual transmission in the 911 Carrera lineup.
On a side note, the Carrera T is also the basis for Porsche Club of America's 70th anniversary 911 Club Coupe.
If you're a Porsche enthusiast like I am, I invite you to join our community. Just head over to pca.org and get ready to take your ownership experience to the next level. We'd appreciate it if you give us a like, comment, and subscribe. We've got lots of Porsche content coming your way. Now back to the video.
Previous generations of the 911 Carrera T could roughly be categorized as a lower horsepower Carrera GTS, which is also a more focused sports car and pure sports car. But now that the 911 Carrera GTS has the T hybrid system and is
Only offered with the PDK transmission,
the Carrera T becomes more of a unique animal. Animalistic would be a great way to describe what this Carrera T feels like from behind the wheel, thanks to some weight-saving measures. Those include lightweight glass, less sound-deadening material, and the transmission itself actually is a 6-speed manual derived from the 7-speed, so Porsche removed a gear that saves weight. All these measures are meant to lower weight, but the big impact they have on the drive, in my opinion, from my seat of the pants, is that there's more of a sense of speed and occasion, more akin to driving a GT3 car than a normal Carrera. You can hear more road noise, engine noise, and even car noises that you normally wouldn't hear in a Carrera or Carrera S. Porsche's given curb weight for the Carrera T is 3,316 pounds. But this car has the optional adaptive 18-way sport seats, not the optional carbon fiber buckets, which are more lightweight than the 18-way adaptive sport seats. The rear seats have been added back in at no cost. It's a no-cost option, adding some pounds. And it also has the full leather interior, also adding a bit more weight back into the car. And up front, it has the optional extended range fuel tank. All in, I'm betting this car is probably closer to the 3,400 to 3,500 pound range. This T wears optional Cartagena metallic yellow paint and also has vanadium gray accents on the door script, rear script, the wheels, as well as the mirror caps, and that's specific to the T as well. The tailpipes are black stainless steel, and the front end gets the Carrera GTS's front fascia and splitter. The 3-liter twin-turbocharged flat 6 makes another appearance in the Carrera T, though this time it makes a little bit more horsepower at 388 horsepower and 331 pound-feet of torque. Porsche quotes this car, remember with its manual transmission, it can do a 0 to 60 miles per hour time in 4.3 seconds and go on to 183 mile an hour top speed. The brakes are also a bit larger, enlarged from 330 millimeters to 350 millimeter diameters, helping to haul this car down from high speed. So pardon the noise in the background. We've got setup going on for an event taking place tomorrow here at Porsche Santa Clarita. But on to the suspension. The Carrera T comes standard with Porsche Active Suspension Management, which is just longhand for active dampers. This is lowered by 10 millimeters compared to a standard Carrera, and it also receives its own suspension tuning, presumably to make this car feel better and sportier on your favorite back road and on track. The wheels are staggered diameter, so 20-inch wheels up front, 21-inch in the rear. The fronts are 245, 35, 20, while the rears are 305, 30, 21. Perhaps the best part about the 992.2 generation Carrera T is it has some really cool standard equipment, and in my opinion, the best standard equipment is found here at the rear, and that includes rear axle steering standard, as well as a limited slip differential with Porsche torque vectoring. On top of that, sport exhaust is also standard, and makes this car sound great when you're driving around, especially with those exhaust flaps open. And now it's time for me to go drive the 911 Carrera T on Angeles Crest Highway. When I flew out to California for PCA's Unstock event for modified Porsches, we had access to this 911 Carrera T. And during the planning stages, I thought it was going to be sunny here in Southern California, and like it usually is, and it's not. We're in the middle of an atmospheric river. It hasn't rained apparently in quite some time, and it's raining now, and on and off kind of hard. But since it's the only time I can review this car on camera, I'm going to review it in the rain. I left the car off before I started this review because the impression that this car gives you as a lightweight sort of special model starts when you start the car. And remember, it has lightweight glass and less sound deadening. And that comes through from when you press the ignition. And it's a stop button here on the left, keys in my pocket this time, so that's a little different from the last Carrera T. Yeah, there's that rumble of that 3-liter twin-turbo flat six, and it almost sounds mid-engine because it comes through stronger than I remember in past 992s that I've driven. So I'm going to attribute that to less sound deadening, and the sound just comes through. 6-speed manual has what a lovely shift knob and wood. I believe it's walnut, and it sort of harks back to past racing Porsches such as the 917, and the Carrera GT supercar actually also had a wooden shift knob. Didn't look quite like this, but very similar, and it feels really nice. I'm pretty sure this has a short shifter. I'm gonna put the confirmation right here in the video just to make sure I get that right.
It actually uses the same shifter bushings and shifter cables as the 911 GT3.
But this 6-speed manual, which is derived from the 7-speed, feels better than I remember. I noted a rubbery feeling in a Carrera S several years ago in the 992.1. Not like super rubbery, but a hint of that 944 like distant feeling in the shift action. This though, it's gotten rid of that, and I didn't notice it until I started thinking about, that shift action is quite nice. So I'm gonna start out in wet mode this time, and you see this pops up here. It's a little menu. If you use the mode dial to change it, you always wanna press auto stop start off if you don't like it. I haven't wanted it on because of just going between filming locations and photo locations. I'd rather just the car stay on. Yeah, it's very intuitive, really intuitive how that works. And you put it into normal, and instead of having to go into the menu, this little sub menu pops up, and you can turn off the exhaust or adjust the suspension, without having to go through the menus. And that's a really nice touch with this car. So back into wet mode. And for this video, I want auto stop start off. And now that the idle is down to its normal level, there you go. You can hear that rumble. I don't know if it comes through on the cameras or in my microphone, but yeah, that rumble is really there. But overall, inside the cabin, it's louder than I would have expected for what is basically a Carrera. And again, it's that less sound deadening. I'm gonna turn on the defroster for a second. Starting to fog up a little bit in here. Can't get too excited, can I? Or maybe that's just the fog on the outside right here. As I said, not great weather, and I'm gonna be taking it fairly easy. So wet mode, one thing to know about it is it uses acoustics actually to determine what the car does to help you in the wet, like if you lose traction inside the wheel well. So acoustics are telling the systems what to do to help you stay on the road. Another thing is that you cannot turn off auto blip in wet mode, which I found out on the drive here, and that's because you don't want to upset the car while you are driving in the wet. Leaving the exhaust on, it improves the sound volume down low more than anything, but can be heard throughout the range. Oh, great sounding engine. GT Sport steering wheel, standard on the Carrera T, and so is the rear axle steering, which came in really handy when I was driving around town and had to make some U-turns for a photographer. It also has Porsche torque vectoring is standard as well, which on something like this, full throttle third gear, you can do it in the wet, but only on a straightaway, and I have the tires warm already. I've been driving, I did a little reconnaissance on this road before I started, but the steering weights up very nicely. In normal mode, the car is very composed. Not like super soft, but composed, and it'll float over some bumps and undulations. Love that sound. You can hear the turbos as well. Brakes are very nice. Not hitting them too hard right now. Took a little bit of getting used to, a little bit grabby, or I should say more sensitive than cars I normally drive, but I'm used to them now, and I like them. Predictable as always. Very stable platform in these turns. Very confidence inspiring even in the wet. I've got to be sure that I look out for rocks and pebbles in the road, and again, I've already reconnaissanced this, so shouldn't be too bad. And this is my turnaround point. Front axle lift, that wasn't quite needed there, but it's come in handy. That is not standard. Now I'm going to put it into normal mode now. Turn off auto stop start. After driving the GTS T Hybrid, I can now say that yes, that electric turbo and that motor which can fill in the torque definitely gets rid of almost all turbo lag, if not all of it. Driving this twin turbo 3-liter, it's still there a little bit. The throttle is sharp and responsive, but it still has a little bit of lag. Even once you've crossed the boost threshold, it takes a split second before the car is going to give you all the power. So normal mode keeps the dampers in normal, their lowest setting. I should mention you can also change everything, all the settings individually. Looks like a 7,500 RPM red line, and I don't think I'm going to be getting up to that today. But yeah, very nice drive. The steering, having just driven my 987 Cayman with hydraulic rack the other day, it's not quite that good with the feel, but it's very direct and precise, which I like. All right, here is coming up to our turnaround point. Oh, nope, I think it's around one of the next turns. 18-way adaptive sport seats. I sat in them and was immediately comfortable. And then I started messing around with the lumbar support and got it just perfect. If it were me, I would consider getting one or looking for a Carrera T that has the optional carbon fiber buckets. That's just me, because I really, really love bucket seats. And for a car like this, I'd be doing probably track days in autocross. And I think this would be almost perfect autocross car. A little bit bigger than my Cayman, but I can deal with that. So now I'm in sport mode. Throttle response changes, gets a little bit quicker. The suspension stiffens up a little bit. And yeah, it looks like we got a school bus and emergency services on this road right now. So the 6-speed manual, I should also note, before I let these guys go up a little bit, it was derived from the 7-speed, as I said earlier, but the Carrera T further goes into lightweighting by removing that gear. Fewer gears, less metal, less weight. And in my driving so far, I don't really see why you would need 7 gears. in a manual transmission car, unless they were super close ratios. These aren't the closest ratios that I've experienced in a car. It's very Porsche-like how long they are. Yeah, in sport mode, the dampers are noticeably stiffer. The body, when going over bumps and undulations, it stops moving much more quickly after you've crossed over them. Sport mode also gives you a little bit more latitude in the wheel slip. So because it's raining, I don't want to explore that. I got to be super careful. I'm gonna try heel and toe. Easy to heel and toe. Oh yeah, and bend the car into the turn. This is Angeles Crest Highway, by the way. I forget if I just said that earlier. Very characterful engine. Get on those brakes. Oh yeah. The car is telling me where all the grip is, or how much grip that I have. So each pass I make of this road, I'm feeling more and more comfortable with it. In the rain, I should note. Yep, and you can still, if you lift the throttle a little bit, it'll tuck that nose. Not trying to do that really too much here on this day. Pretty sure this is our turnaround point. So foggy out right now, it's hard to tell. It is. All right, I will go into, and going into sport mode actually activates the auto blip feature. So that heel toe that I thought I did, I didn't do. So when I go to Sport Plus, which keeps there are only 2 suspension settings, normal and sport. So Sport Plus relaxes the traction and stability control even more, so I'll be even more careful. So Sport Plus, that comes up. I don't want auto blip. I'm not sure which one is auto blip, so I'm just going to go into the menu to change it. Very intuitive menu, by the way. And just because I'm thinking of touchscreens right now, the screen in front of me, because there's no physical tach anymore, it doesn't bother me at all that it's not a physical tachometer. And in the couple 992.2s I've driven, I'm growing to like this. So, as I said, Sport Plus, got the exhaust on, sharp throttle, sport suspension, and I took the auto blip off because I want to show you how good of a driver I am. I enjoy doing the act of heel-toe rev matching myself. So, yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there like me. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna try another heel toe. Yep, not too bad. Could have given it more gas, but that's okay. Yeah, on a day like today, honestly, putting the dampers into soft is the way to do it. Should also say, for driving, Porsche has struck the perfect balance of screens and buttons, I think. Maybe not perfect, nothing's perfect, but a lot better than it was in previous generations, and certainly better than the row of buttons that were on, let's say, the, I think it was the 991, 997 maybe. Car is talking to me. Definitely like it more in this softer suspension. Just gonna pull over for that guy. Didn't want to brake too hard. Love this engine. This 3-liter twin turbo is really a very nice engine. Wow. We got the whole emergency services out here right now. And that's why I'm sticking to this portion of the road, because I know it and I don't want to get caught up in things that other people might be doing. So we're coming up on my previous turnaround point, but I am going to keep going down to another pullover area that I know. Oh man, it's foggy. And yes, it's a bit of a shame that the Carrera T is the only way you can get a manual transmission in the Carrera lineup, but fortunately, this is such a great car that it would be my choice unless I were really wanting or could afford a GT3. Let's say I could afford something like this, or a Carrera S or a GTS. I'd probably go Carrera T, even over the GTS, purely because it's a manual transmission, and this is really a sweetheart. Maybe I should put it back into wet mode. Yeah, let's do that. It's coming down a little bit harder. Porsche gave us that mode for a reason, too. Oh yeah, this car works with you. I went into that corner a little quicker than I had hoped to go into that corner, but yeah. I was on the brakes lightly, trail braked off, and man, wasn't a big trail brake, but just enough to plant the nose and feel a little bit more comfortable. And these guys are here clearing off the roads for everybody because there are a bunch of rock slides that can happen in this area when it starts to rain. So, for better, for worse, oh, yep, and there's this auto stop start. I want to keep this on. All right, so for better, for worse, I had to review this in the rain, and that's okay. It might have even been a better circumstance, you know, to really get to know these 911s and this Carrera T better than I have from previous reviews, which have all been in the dry. So, what do I think of this car? Well, I'm going to get out the price real quick because that factors in to what you're getting here. So yes, the 911 Carrera T, its base price for this generation is $138,800. This one is fairly lightly optioned. It has all the good options at $156,945. Basically $160,000 for a base Carrera. And let's call it $140 for one with no options for a base Carrera. That has some suspension tuning. Now, we've got to think prices have gone up, as has inflation over the past 10 years, 15 years. So 911s, you know, they've crept up ever so slightly year by year, and here we are. It's not really the entry-level model that it is anymore. However, the Carrera T isn't really an entry-level car, I don't feel like. The Carrera is. The Carrera T isn't. And it has enough specialness to it from the moment you start the car to when you start driving a back road like this, that it seems worth it, you know? As I said, I'd rather have this than a Carrera GTS, personally. I like the GTS's powertrain more, but it's this manual transmission. And that says a lot, that this, with the manual, with the special suspension tuning for the Carrera T, the standard rear axle steering, standard limited slip diff with PTV. It's just such a cool car, and it drives well, inspires confidence, and as I said, know it'll do well in an autocross. So yeah, thumbs up for this car. Can't wait to drive the next, and I really would love to experience base Carrera one of these days, not a T, to see how these two cars differ. But yeah, looking back, it's the best you're gonna get unless you can step up to a 911 GT3.